You're born in El Paso, Texas. Your father drives a delivery truck across the border to Juarez every day carrying legitimate cargo in a city where legitimate and illegitimate blend together like oil and water. Your mother works at a maquiladora factory, assembling electronics for American companies who moved manufacturing south for cheaper labor. You grow up speaking 2 languages, carrying 2 passports, and understanding that borders exist on maps but disappear when money is involved. You're 12 when you first see how smuggling really works. Your uncle Carlos asks you to carry a backpack across the bridge to Ciudad Juarez. Just some clothes for your cousin, he says. The backpack is heavy and you're nervous, but the border guards barely look at a kid carrying school supplies. On the Mexican side, your cousin takes the backpack and hands you a different one to carry back. Same weight, same size, but this one has $20,000 sewn into the lining. The math becomes clear quickly. Your father makes $30,000 a year driving legally across the same border 8 hours a day. Your uncle makes $30,000 in a single afternoon by moving things that customs officials aren't supposed to see. The risk is enormous, but so is the reward. In a place where legitimate jobs pay subsistence wages, smuggling offers the only path to real wealth. Your first real job comes at 16. Miguel Santos, who runs operations for the Sinaloa network, needs someone young and innocent looking to move packages between safe houses. You're perfect. Good grades, no criminal record, parents who work legitimate jobs. Yet you start by carrying cell phones and small electronics, nothing that screams criminal activity. The pay is $500 per trip, more than most adults in your neighborhood make in a month. You learn the infrastructure of modern smuggling. It's not desperate people running through the desert with backpacks. It's a sophisticated logistics network with accountants, lawyers, and technological systems that rival Fortune 500 companies. GPS tracking, encrypted communications, real-time intelligence about border patrol movements. You're not joining a gang. You're joining a multinational corporation that happens to operate outside the law. The technology amazes you. Hidden compartments built into vehicles by master craftsmen who studied automotive engineering. Cars with false floors that require hydraulic lifts to access. Trucks with secret panels that blend seamlessly with the original manufacturing. The people who design these modifications are artists creating spaces that can fool X-ray machines and drug dogs. They take pride in their work like any other skilled profession. Your role evolves from courier to coordinator. You manage teams of drivers, plan routes that avoid checkpoints, and coordinate timing with contacts on both sides of the border. You're 19 years old and supervising operations that move millions of dollars worth of merchandise every week. Your salary jumps to $10,000 per month, more than most college graduates earn in legitimate careers. The merchandise diversifies beyond drugs. Exotic animals heading to private collectors in Texas. Stolen cars being shipped to buyers in Central America. Well, counterfeit electronics flowing north to unsuspecting American consumers. Weapons moving south to fuel conflicts you prefer not to think about. You're running an import-export business where every product happens to be illegal. The corruption network is vast and sophisticated. Customs officials who randomly inspect trucks carrying legitimate cargo while waving through vehicles stuffed with contraband. Police chiefs who ensure patrol cars are reassigned away from key routes. Immigration judges who expedite deportations for smugglers who need to return quickly to Mexico. You develop relationships with people on both sides of the law. Agent Rodriguez, a DEA investigator who feeds you information about upcoming raids in exchange for tips about rival organizations. Captain Martinez, a border patrol supervisor who ensures certain checkpoints are understaffed during your operation. These aren't evil people. They're professionals trying to survive in a system where cooperation pays better than confrontation. Your lifestyle upgrades quickly. A luxury apartment in El Paso's most exclusive neighborhood. A Mercedes that costs more than your father's annual salary. Expensive restaurants where you're known by name and never see a bill. You tell your family you work in import-export, which is technically true even if you omit certain details about what you import and export. The first major crisis comes when a shipment gets intercepted. 50 kilograms of pure cocaine hidden in a furniture truck discovered during a random inspection you couldn't predict or prevent. The loss is $3 million plus the truck, driver, and cargo. More importantly, it's evidence that someone in your network is providing information to law enforcement. Paranoia becomes your constant companion as you try to identify the leak. The violence escalates when rivals try to muscle in on your territory. The Tijuana cartel decides your routes are too profitable to ignore. They start intercepting your shipments, kidnapping your drivers, and demanding tribute for passage through areas they claim to control. You're forced to hire armed security, turning smuggling operations into military convoys with scouts, decoys, and backup team. Your personal relationship becomes impossible to maintain. Sarah, a nurse you've been dating for 6 months, starts asking questions about your irregular schedule and mysterious serious income. If you tell her you work in international business, but she's not stupid, the late-night phone calls, the encrypted messages, the way you check for surveillance everywhere you go, she knows something isn't right. You care about her too much to lie completely, but you can't tell her the truth without putting her in danger. The psychological pressure builds as success attracts attention. Your name appears in intelligence reports. Your photograph is in law enforcement databases. Your financial transactions trigger automated alerts at banks across 2 countries. Every day brings new risks as federal agencies develop better technology and more sophisticated techniques for tracking criminal organizations. You try to diversify into legitimate businesses. A import-export company that handles legal goods alongside illegal ones. Or a trucking company that provides cover for your smuggling operations. A series of restaurants that launder money and provide meeting places for criminal associates. But every legitimate business becomes tainted by association with your illegal activities. The technical challenges escalate as authorities adapt. Body scanners that can detect items hidden internally. Chemical sensors that identify trace amounts of drugs on surfaces. GPS tracking devices that monitor vehicle movements in real time. Artificial intelligence systems that analyze patterns and predict smuggling routes. Every technological advancement forces you to develop new countermeasures. Your organization grows to include specialists in every aspect of the operation. Chemists who develop new ways to hide contraband. Electronics experts who create devices to jam surveillance equipment. Former military personnel who provide tactical planning and security services. Accountants who structure financial transactions to avoid detection. You're running a criminal corporation with departments and specializations like any major business. The international scope expands beyond Mexico. Connections with Colombian suppliers who provide product at wholesale prices. Distribution networks that reach into Canada and Europe. Money laundering operations that move cash through banks in Switzerland, Panama, and the Cayman Islands. You're not just crossing one border, you're operating a global supply chain that spans multiple continents. The betrayal comes from your most trusted lieutenant. Carlos, your childhood friend who helped build the organization, makes a deal with federal prosecutors to avoid a life sentence. He provides detailed information about routes, methods, financial records, and personnel. The cooperation agreement gives him witness protection and a new identity in exchange for testimony that could send you to prison for life. The federal investigation culminates in a coordinated international operation. Operation Desert Storm involves agencies from 5 countries and results in over 200 arrests. Your organization is dismantled systematically. Safe houses raided, vehicles seized, bank accounts frozen, associates arrested. The investigation reveals the full scope of your activities. $4 billion in illegal goods smuggled over 8 years. You're arrested at a restaurant in downtown El Paso, having dinner with Sarah, who finally learns the truth about your business when FBI agents surround your table. The look of betrayal and fear in her eyes haunts you more than the handcuffs. She thought she was dating a successful businessman. Instead, she was involved with one of the most wanted smugglers in North America. The trial lasts 14 months and becomes an international sensation. Prosecutors present evidence of your organization's activity, video surveillance, recorded phone calls, financial records, and testimony from dozens of cooperating witnesses. The defense argues you were a small player in a system much larger than any individual, but the evidence suggests you were a major coordinator of international criminal activities. You're sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole under federal kingpin statutes. The judge notes that your organization moved illegal goods worth billions of dollars and corrupted law enforcement officials across multiple jurisdictions. Your parents attend the sentencing hearing, crying as they realize their son will never come home. Your father blames himself for introducing you to cross-border commerce even though his work was completely legal. Prison is an education in consequences. You're housed in a supermax facility with other high-level organized crime figures. 23 hours per day in solitary confinement, 1 hour of exercise in a concrete cage, no contact with family or friends. The isolation drives many inmates insane, but you use the time to reflect on choices that led to this concrete box. Your criminal network continues operating without you, proving that smuggling is bigger than any individual. New coordinators take over your routes, different organizations adapt your methods. The demand for illegal goods across borders ensures that someone will always be willing to supply them. Your arrest was headline news for a week, but it didn't slow down the flow of contraband by even a single day. Letters arrive from former associates serving their own sentences. Some blame you for their arrests. Others ask for money you no longer have. A few express genuine friendship and concern for your welfare. The camaraderie of criminal enterprise evaporates quickly when everyone is facing life in prison and looking for someone else to blame. Your parents visit once per month for the first 5 years, but the trips are expensive and emotionally devastating. Your mother ages rapidly, carrying guilt about your choices. Your father retires early and spends his time wondering where he went wrong. Eventually, the visits stop coming, not because they stop loving you, but because seeing their son in a cage is too painful to bear. The smuggling industry continues evolving with new technologies and techniques. Drones that carry packages across borders autonomously, submarines that transport cargo underwater between countries, digital currencies that enable anonymous financial transactions, encrypted communications that are virtually impossible for law enforcement to intercept. Your methods were state-of-the-art once, but they're obsolete now. You realize that you were never really in control of anything. The routes belong to cartels more powerful than you could imagine. The corruption network included officials you never knew existed. Yet the financial systems were managed by organizations that could operate without any individual participant. You thought you were building an empire, but you were just another employee in someone else's business. The years pass slowly in solitary confinement. You read books, write letters that may never be sent, and calculate odds on events you'll never witness. Your body ages rapidly in the artificial environment of prison. Your mind remains sharp, but it's focused on a world you'll never see again. You're 45 years old and will likely die behind bars. Sometimes you wonder what would have happened if you'd chosen differently. College instead of smuggling, legitimate business instead of criminal enterprise, a normal relationship instead of paranoia and deception. But those thoughts are pointless now. The choices were made decades ago, and consequences can't be undone by regret. Somewhere right now, a teenager is carrying a backpack across a border thinking they understand the risks and rewards of smuggling. They see the money and lifestyle, but they don't see the prison cell waiting at the end. They believe they're smarter than everyone who got caught before them. They have no idea they're taking the first steps toward the same concrete box where you'll spend the rest of your life. This story is fiction, but smuggling is real. The technology is real. The corruption is real. And somewhere right now, someone is crossing a border with contraband, thinking they can outsmart a system designed to catch them eventually, just like you once thought.